Hello and welcome to this video that I want to share today with you. Sigrid Cast here. My business is Sticky Peak Marketing. I'm a book writing and marketing specialist with a unique program for coaches and consultants who want to raise their profile and position their expertise to attract more new clients that are coming with ease really quick and easily. So today I want to share with you all about, does Google like you? Now, we all know how important Google is to our daily lives, really, whether you are with a website, whether you are in social media, whether you've already written your book or you are thinking about writing your book, Google needs to like you. And I have with me Geraldine Swanepoel. Welcome, Geraldine. Lovely to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Sigrid.
You are in sunny Dublin today. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yes, unusually, yes, not rainy Dublin, but sunny Dublin.
That is fantastic. So let me just tell you a little bit about Geraldine before I ask her some really in-depth question around Google and SEO and what that means in general and for you in particular. So Geraldine is coming from a engineering background, which is a little bit interesting to come to SEO, but I guess there's structure, process behind it. Geraldine, you've spent almost a decade in the exciting world of digital marketing and SEO already. Wow. You're the director of Swan Consulting, a Dublin firm that helps small businesses with technology. So there's quite a lot to technology, particularly SEO and Google specifically, helping us to be visible. Now, if you're wondering whether a website, your website is performing well, or if people are seeing your content online, Geraldine will make sure that Google likes you. I just love that phrase, Geraldine. How did you come up with that phrase? Let me get started with that one. What made you say, make sure Google loves you?
Well, I was trying out different taglines for quite a while. And then I had a very interesting conversation with a woman that does a podcast show. And she kind of had that, she said something about Google, and it really struck with me because obviously that is the job, but I never thought of it that way. And then I thought, well, really, that's really meeting a need. We all want people to like us. And now when we go online and we're searching for things, we're finding things that we like. And so that kind of made, wait a minute, we want Google to like us if we have a business or a blog or something like that. So that's
absolutely. I love it. And authors, when people write a book, particularly coaches and consultants, it is really in the back of their mind, everyone that I've spoken to, that I want to make sure people like my book, people like me through my book. That's a big part of it. So being liked is huge. And we're in a world where we can communicate across the world, and we do want everyone to like us. So yes, I love it. Great phrase on it. Now, give us in a nutshell, why is SEO so important?
Well, you know, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and Google is a search engine. So really what we're trying to make sure is that what we have online is tying in with what Google is looking for. And what Google essentially is looking for is they want to give people what they want. So you have to give people what they want in order for Google to display you on the search engine results pages. So SEO is so important because it's running in a way in the background on your website, on your profiles, on social media. And if people don't know that you exist, you can have the best offering in the world. But if they don't know that you're there, you're just wasting your time.
I love it. And I think from, times of having spoken to people about their website, times gone by in my marketing agency, often people don't quite understand. I've got my website out there now. Why is nobody seeing it? You know, why is it not coming up when I'm searching for what they seem to think are the words people would search for? Give us a tiny bit of an explanation on that. I know it's a huge, broad area and you could talk about it probably for days, but give it to us in a nutshell. Why is it not being found instantly?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, there are so many new websites coming online all the time, and there's a lot of information out there. Now, Google wants to give people the best answer to the search query that they're putting in. So they're looking for the website that answers that question in the best possible manner. And so there's 200 plus ranking factors that Google uses. So, and those can change as time that they recently had an update that changed for making a load speed much more important than it used to be. And so if your website loads slowly, you don't see it. So if you think, for instance, the top movies of 2015, number 1, 2, and 3, great movies. Now you go for the top movies of 2021. Those movies are maybe not even showing. Those movies aren't any worse. They're still great movies, but they're new movies that are out there that then make 1, 2, and 3. So a lot of people have the misconception that their website is a set it and forget it, like SEO. You put it there and then you can just go and focus on other things. But over time, your website's going to lose rankings through no fault of its own. So you need to really make sure that you are maintaining it, that you're adjusting it, and that you're putting new content on there. And good content is king, and fresh content is what Google likes.
I love it. And you've just put a couple of points there that are really, really important when I compare that to a person who's written a book, particularly a business person, a coach or a consultant. They may already have, most of the time, clients that work with me do have a website, but they're not conscious of SEO and what you've just said, what you've just shared, how important it is to keep working it and to put fresh content on there and to make it not just look good, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of things they also need to be aware of, that either people like you who work with a website owner to do it for them or to instruct them to do it, they need to know about those parts as well. I love how you said that you need to keep working at it. Now, when people write a book, it's a similar scenario. It's great that you've written your book, but you need to do a certain amount of things to have it seen. Now, you want Google to show it. So if a person who's written a book, they've got a website, they're not sure whether it's good or not good and whether Google likes it or not. If they set up a page on their website, what's the most important thing to think about, Geraldine, from an SEO perspective? Is there something that is most important?
Well, I'm not sure that we can say most important. I think most important is you do need SEO on the page. Firstly, and SEO is split into two aspects, the technical side and I suppose the soft or content side, and they work together. So if your content isn't good enough, then Google is not going to know what it's about and it's not going to return it. People that are going to go to the website, they're not going to know what exactly is the service that you're offering or what is the book about. There's nothing kind of drawing them in and exciting them in the wording. But if the technical side isn't good enough, like if it takes too long to load or there are broken links or it's spammy, things like that, that again, Google doesn't like that and penalizes it, and people don't like that either. So you really, when you land on the website, you have to have an eye of, if this wasn't mine, what would I think if I landed on this? And then of course, the technical side is a lot of it is the back side that you don't see, but Google sees it. So it's, I like to remind people that Google is a search engine. And if you think about a car engine, you have your brand new car, but if you never maintain it, it's going to break down eventually. Doesn't matter what fancy car it was. So you have to maintain it and you have to keep it in good working order. And that is the technical side that comes into play.
I love that.
I would say a page audit needs to be done of your book landing page,
yes,
where it looks through a text list of everything that is happening on the page. And something that people forget quite often, if their web developer hasn't mentioned it to them, is that you need to have a sitemap that has been loaded onto Google Search Console so that Google knows that you exist. Otherwise, they'll never be able to find it.
Absolutely. And something that just reminded me, I need to have a look at for myself. But you said, put that aside. You've just said something very interesting. Again, I really love it when you said, looking at a page, looking at a website, if it's your own, think about, if it wasn't my own, what is it I would be looking for? It's this standing aside and looking at your own thing from the viewer's angle. Just to throw in, it's the same with writing a book. It's all very well to want to write about one's own experience and story in a book, but it's not about you, because you're not going to read it. It's about the person that you want to attract to read it. And a book that is to attract clients to come to you as a coach or consultant, then you need to have a look at what are they looking for? What's the deeper detail in the book that you're writing about, in your expertise, the benefit the reader gets from it. So looking at a website, looking at the SEO, which is what Google does in a way, isn't it? They're looking from the viewers, the searchers angle at the website. So they really, a person really wants to look at the entire website, not just one page, Geraldine. Would that be correct to say?
Absolutely. Your book page fits into a hole, and that hole has to project the image that you're looking for, and it needs to touch. If your website has got problems with Google, it doesn't matter that that one page has been optimized. It's going to pull it down, because Google, part of the ranking factors is the website as a whole, and then each page individually that it is looking at.
Brilliant. Now, I'm sure you've come across this as well. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions out there around the whole SEO scenario, particularly people, and I'm glad you explained it at the beginning, what the SEO stands for. A lot of people are not even aware of that. Some people spend money on it without knowing what it is. But what are sort of myths and misconceptions that people come and, you know, they say something to you and you think, oh no, this is a complete mess.
Yeah, well, I suppose when it comes to SEO, there's kind of two categories of people. And people that either think SEO is way too complicated and they don't even want to touch it, they don't understand it. Or the other side is that people think that it is so easy that they don't value it and they don't understand how it can help their business.
Yeah.
But as I say to people often, SEO isn't rocket science, but it does take knowledge, patience, and perseverance to do it properly and to do it consistently. And then you can see great rewards from it over time. And the thing that I find the most annoying with people, not annoying, but what people tend to do is they have a website that's been set up, and then, as I said, they set it and forget it, and they don't then go and check on it. And over time, links break. And you know, over time, Google has changed what it values and what it is trying to do as well, and the website isn't optimized for that. And as I said, there's no new content, and then that starts falling down the rankings as well.
When you talk about new content, you've mentioned that a little bit earlier. Give us a bit more of an idea what that means in practical terms for a website owner. So I'm a coach, and I've had the website set up, or I've set part of it up myself. I think it looks cool. I really love it. People have said it's fine. I've set my book page up on there. What exactly is it? Sorry. Sorry, what exactly is it that new content would mean for me that I would need to do? Do I need to change my pages all the time?
No, so you would have, I assume, your main pages on the website with the structure that all the services or the products that you offer, an explanation, so a page about you, a contact page, and your landing page. Those don't tend to change very much unless maybe you're adding a service or removing a service, or something has changed about your offering. So those would be kind of, I suppose, your cornerstone content that stays. But what you're trying to do then is the fresh content is mostly in general related to a special offer that you have that has a particular landing page, or your blog. So your blog is the ideal vehicle. So what we talk about with digital marketing and SEO is about keyword research. Where you start is you want to know what people are typing in to find you. not what you think they're finding, but what they're actually. And then your products and service offering pages are targeting those kind of main keywords. But then you have people, when people type in a sentence into Google, that is what is called, it's really focused search intent. And in order to address those long tail keywords, that's where your blog comes in, and those blog articles that you write.
That's brilliant. And you've just touched on another really important area, I think, is in particular that people are searching. When they are searching, most of the time, and if your page is in line with that, these are people that are serious. They really want to take an action. They're not just Googling for the phrase that we all use, just for fun. I mean, some people do that. But if your pages, your website, and particularly, let's say your book page, is in line with a serious search, long tail keyword, so that's a phrase, not just one single word, that makes it really powerful, doesn't it? As long as your site and your SEO is set up correct.
Exactly. And it also means that you are cutting out a lot of noise and even cutting out competition, because it's become very specific and you can address it very specifically and make sure that your page on the internet is the most fully answering that query that people have. Now, of course, you want to make sure that it is a query that people are using. It doesn't help, oh, I rank #1 for this query, but nobody ever has that query. So, you have to make sure that you have enough volume as well.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. So it's really important. I guess it comes to the myth that we touched on before, is that people can sort of set and forget. That's not how it is. And blogs are an important part of it. Some people have recently said to me, oh, well, blogging is no longer relevant. Everything happens on social media. I personally disagree with that. What's your position on that? It's part of the overall working.
Well, of course, some people, their business and the business they generate, they mostly do through social media. So I suppose that's the lens that they're coming from. But even if people see you on social media, they still want to go and see your website. You have to make sure that your website is matching that. But I think blogging is certainly not dead or not over, because a lot of people are generating clients through search on Google, and that's what blogging is perfect for. But you can also, blogging and your social media profiles can work together, where you post about your blog. You can take excerpts from your website blog and put it as shorter posts on the social media profiles. But it just depends on where your ideal client is living and what you think they're going to be doing.
I love that idea, and I have used that a fair bit in the past and use it now to write a blog post on the website and then bring people from social media to come and read it there by having a snippet as a post, social media to post teaser. And I find personally it works quite well. It's not for everyone, I agree, but certainly one of the methods to bring people to your website. And I guess what you said earlier, Geraldine, important would now be, you've talked about a few technical aspects there. Page load. Tell us a little bit more about the technical aspects of the SEO component that are important, that you take care of particularly.
Okay, so I'd say the top 3 technical components of your website are within the website code itself, is the H1 tag, which is your heading 1 tag. That absolutely has to be on every page on your website. And that ties in with the page title and the URL of your website. So those 3 things have to mimic each other. Sometimes they're exactly the same, sometimes not, but they are focused on your keywords that you've identified as part of the wording for your website. So your H1 tag must be there, and your page title. And then the next thing is the loading. So the loading speed, Google had an update in June that we had everybody talking about. And that is really because of the rise of mobile surfing, and that needs to load quickly. So, and your page speed is related to a number of technical aspects, you know, where your website is hosted, how it is set up, how many things are running in the background on the page to make the, you know, video or like animations or GIFs and things. That all takes part, it adds to the load speed, the page load. But the thing that most people forget about that is very heavy on load speed are the images. And I have seen so many websites and people have not thought about the sizing of their image and about how it affects load speed. And then as well with images, you have to think about the SEO value of images as well, because you do get Google images search, and so your alt tags, the file names. So a lot of people, especially when they're blogging, tend to download images from these free image websites that you can get, or maybe they have a small account with Big Stock or iStock, and those are all generically named images. They may, but they've got nothing to do with the page that you have them on. So people need to remember to rename those images, and to put alt tags in them. So you want to have an image that is small enough to load quickly, but crisp enough that it still looks good on the website. And quite often that's an interplay between those, and you need some tools to help you with it.
So overall, SEO, in a way, it's simple when you know what to do, but there's a lot of finer detail in it that goes into it. So really, while there are, you know, myths and misconceptions out there a lot, the best approach would be to seek a professional like yourself, like your company, to come and at least get an audit done, at least get an idea what needs to be done, instead of just leaving it and hoping that everything is fine, particularly when you've written a book or you're writing a book and you want to put that onto your page. What's the biggest, most annoying part that you come across in your work with clients or with SEO? Maybe it's just with SEO itself. Is there something really annoying? You're happy.
Well, I would say it is annoying with the client that comes and says, "Oh, I can do that myself."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you could, but I've been to your website and you haven't. And the technical, you know, in this day and age, you still see websites that don't load on, you know, securely. It's not HTTPS. And you think that is the easiest, simplest thing to do. And then, of course, if you're busy and your work is busy, you don't have time to be writing all of those blog posts, to be thinking about keyword research, to be implementing all of those things. And, you know, we're all busy. So why not rather get somebody that knows what they're doing to do it for you, rather than you trying to do everything yourself?
Because there's plenty of other work to be done around what your business is all about. Geraldine, that's been fantastic talking to you. You have given the listeners extremely detailed information, and they have a good view. I have a better view, reminder again of what I'm doing. And what I have to do. And it's been excellent. Now we'll put some details to reach you with this video. And is there any particular parting tip or suggestion or something you'd like to leave with our listeners, our viewers of this, for this interview with you?
And well, I would say my biggest tip that I give people is to make sure that they've done a sitemap and that they've uploaded it to Google Search Console. Otherwise, Google doesn't know that you exist.
That is brilliant. I love that tip. I've just made a note to check on my own. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking to you. Details for Geraldine's to reach her and to talk with her, start a discussion, get her to have a look and do an audit of your site. Your page will be ready for you. Thank you. And that's it from us for today.